All right. Looks good.
Yep.
All right, cool. You can hear me?
Yes, I can.
Killer, killer. So, first of all, I just want to start off and say congratulations
Oh, thanks.
on um, being a finalist for the Bram Stoker Award for long fiction for To Be Devoured. It's amazing.
It is. Oh my gosh, it's crazy. I can't believe it. I'm so honored, and it's so nice to talk and see somebody from the community today too.
Yeah, totally. How are you holding up over there? You're in
Good.
Pennsylvania?
Yeah, I'm like an hour outside of Pittsburgh. So I'm really lucky
Cool.
because I teach online, so I'm okay, but watching the news every day is not okay.
Yeah, it can kind of drive you a little crazy. It makes you really paranoid, right?
So yeah, it's not good. Not good at all.
Yeah, everybody's like, "Oh, I have a sniffle. Maybe I have it," you know?
You know, or like
It's really
allergies, everything.
like totally, totally. Is everything locked down over there? Like you can't go out. You've got to go like only to the grocery store and back kind of a thing.
Pretty much, yeah. I think our county just kind of got to that point now where you're not really supposed to leave your house unless you really need to.
Oh my God. It's so trippy, right?
It's so weird. And people, I think since I live in a rural area, people don't really listen to that very much. Like there's still people everywhere, everywhere.
Oh my God, that's not good,
No,
right?
not
Oh
at all.
man. Man, they're just spreading germs everywhere.
Yeah, it's, no.
How is it affecting your writing? Are you still writing through all this?
I'm trying. It's not easy for sure. And I think a lot of people have kind of talked about that too. Like it's just so hard to focus. And the project that I was doing before all this happened was my next poetry collection, which is inspired by the Black Death. So right before all this happened, I
Oh
was
God.
reading, yep, I was reading all these books about plagues and viruses and the Black Death, all this historical fiction that or all this historical stuff I wanted to put into the fiction. So that did not help my paranoia at all. So that's right in the middle of what I'm doing is that.
Oh my gosh, that's just like really unfortunate timing. That'd be, drive you kind of crazy. And
Oh
with
yeah.
all of our fertile imaginations too, it's kind of not a good combination.
No, it's intense.
How has do you have any releases that have been impacted by this? I mean, you said you're working on something. Do you have anything that was in the pipeline that kind of got postponed or anything like that?
Not really, not yet. Some things might have to shift a little bit, but so far, most of my releases should be towards the end of the year. Like the Not All Monsters anthology, that's by Women of Horror, so that should
Yeah.
still be in October, hopefully.
Oh, cool. That was such an amazing call
Uh,
for submissions. I was so excited, like when I
like,
read that. How many submissions did you get? You got a ton, right?
oh, we got at least like 300 or 400, and that was just a little call for, yeah, like a little indie publishing place too. So there's definitely lots of women in horror writing if anyone ever doesn't think so.
Right? Tell me about it. I think that's one of the most beautiful things I've seen in the genre over the last decade is that females and people of color have just been integrated and are being recognized for how amazing they are already. But I
Yeah.
think in horror, I think horror has been a rare kind of genre where that's kind of been the case for a long time. Not, perfect, but going back to like Shirley Jackson, who I think is probably I don't know, the forebearer of everything, and she was very, very highly recognized in literary circles. So it's
Yeah,
pretty exciting to see, though.
it is. And I think the HWA has made great strides for inclusivity. So every
Yeah,
time there's a new Stoker Con, there's more panels about diversity and
yeah,
what we can all do better. So yeah, it's a good time to be a part of the community, I think.
it is, and honestly, it's not so hard. All you have to do is look out there, and there's just so much amazing work being produced. It's like I could, if people stopped writing and publishing today, I'd still have enough for the end of my life to read, and that's just from like my peers. It's just unbelievable the
Right.
amount of good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's pretty cool. So let's talk a little about To Be Devoured. Exciting. Okay, so my friend, I have a good friend, and she wrote to me. She was reading it like a month ago, and she's like, "John, this is the first thing in 15 years that made me stop reading, and I thought I was going to throw up." And I was cracking up. I was like, "Sarah did it right." So
Yeah, I've
what?
comment a couple times.
um, where I'm just curious, like, what was the gestation of this story? Where did it come from?
So I kind of had the idea for the character for a little while, but the main part with all the vulture stuff really came from I was driving to my mom's house kind of out in the country, and there's this big dead tree on the like this farmland. And there were all these vultures there, and we didn't think there was anything dead around. They just kind of hung out for a really long time. But they would circle and they would follow my car like the whole way up this mile long driveway, and they'd watch you get out of the car and circle around the house and then go back to their tree. Um, so they were there, and it just kind of came into my brain to do something with them. So inspiration was there, so I took it.
Wow, that's really creepy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, they're living up to their name there, aren't they?
Oh
Jeez.
yeah. There's so many of them too. There's a lot of interesting birds in Pennsylvania for sure.
Yeah, for sure. What are you working on now as a writer? Can you talk about what you're writing like currently? I know
So
you.
mostly
Oh,
the plague poetry. um,
okay.
and then working on a couple short stories that I should have out this year too, with some places that I'm excited about.
Cool.
Um, and then after I get some of that done, I'm mostly going to try and focus on what will hopefully be my first novel. So that's what I'd like to
Awesome.
dedicate the latter half of the year to. Um, and then otherwise, I'm doing like the Pittsburgh HWA chapter stuff that I co-organized with Mike Arnzen. So that's been keeping us busy. So hopefully we'll all get to meet someday again soon after all this or that. But that's been great. We have such a great chapter here. So those are kind
Yeah.
of all my main projects at the moment.
Wow, that's a lot of work. That sounds exciting. It's always the work is for me. I love the working part, the actual writing and creation. I love that aspect of it, and it's always fascinates me to hear how other writers do it. What is your process? Do you write by hand? Do you write with a computer? Any combination? Like, what is your methodology?
Well, I have horrible handwriting, so I try to stick to the computer.
Oh, cool.
um,
Okay.
But my process is still kind of a mess. I feel like I'm really still finding what works best for me. I've discovered that outlining helps me immensely when I'm not just pantsing something. So I've been really trying to make that more of a habit. Because I just have to have that like routine and organization, or I just won't be as productive, if that makes sense. So I feel like every year when I write more, I grow more and I learn more about what really works for me and what helps me actually produce material.
Cool. Um, you're a poet as well. Did you start with poetry, or did you start with fiction, or was there any kind of definitive start to when you were getting into writing?
I think I did start with poetry the most. I did that a lot in undergrad. So like we had a really cool campus magazine, so I would submit poetry to that. And then I had an independent study in horror poetry with Mike Arnson, who was my teacher then at Seton Hill for undergrad. So that was kind of the tipping point for me to just kind of dive headfirst into horror poetry. And then the prose kind of evolved after that a little bit.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So I imagine your poetry and your poetic training has kind of crept into your writing in a big way.
Definitely. And I got that a lot of like feedback for To Be Devoured was about how poetic it was. Like it really grossed people out, but it was done in a beautiful way. So that to me was kind of one of the best compliments I could get about my prose was that it has that kind of beautiful poetic language, but in a good, concise way and still has all the horror elements. And I think poetry just really teaches you to be concise and to make good word choices because you have to convey so much emotion in a short amount of time.
Totally, totally. And then, I always thought that, it's really interesting to read a poet that's gone, into fiction just for that reason, because they really seem to kind of write in a slightly different way. They come from a different place, whereas there's a lot of work done with the music of the words. And other folks who didn't start with poetry, I find they're kind of more plot driven and kind of more event driven, which is kind of an interesting, there's no wrong way, but it's just interesting. You can kind of sometimes see that, which is really, really cool.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. You definitely can kind of tell who has a bit of a poetic background in their prose writing. Um, and I taught when I was doing my graduate school stuff, I taught my class that you had to do for one of the modules on like poetic language versus purple prose. So that was a really fun thing to teach, and I've kind of been developing that over the years. So I hope I get to teach it again someday, because it's really fun to do with other people and kind of bring that to their attention, that you can be poetic and not have too much purple prose.
Oh, that's cool. You should look into doing a U class for us at some point.
I
Uh,
know, I'd love to
at
do that.
StokerCon. That sounds like an amazing class for that.
Yeah,
So
maybe next year.
yeah, absolutely. I'm really curious. The your local chapter sounds amazing. It's you and Mike Arnzen, who I adore, are the two co-chairs, right?
Yeah, so we
Cool.
co-organize. We have lots of great people in our group. We have Gwen Keiss, Stephanie Wojtovich, Nelson Piles, everyone else's name I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's a huge group of just great people, and we're really lucky to have everyone that we have in it. So there's 4 of us nominated for Stokers this year.
Oh my
Myself,
gosh.
Gwen, Stephanie, and Michelle Renee Lane, who's nominated for first
Wow.
novel. Yeah. So pretty awesome group.
That's unbelievable. Wow. I mean, there's so much star power in there. It's just that's genius. Where do you meet? Do you have a place you meet every month or?
We've been doing different places every couple of months. So our what we were going to do in March that we had to cancel, we were going to meet at the new Romero Archives in Pittsburgh, where they are housing all this new. It's like brand new. It's not even open to the public yet. So that's what we were going to do, is go to the new Romero Archives, but unfortunately Pittsburgh was under state of emergency, so we couldn't do that. So hopefully, maybe in the next couple months, we'll get to do that. I think
Cool.
it'll be a really cool meeting place to hopefully see some of the stuff in the archives.
Totally. And I think Pittsburgh is turning into a Romero film, like minute by minute. It's like more the crazies than Dawn of the Dead, but
That's
it's
very true.
it's
Yeah.
kind of like creepy, like how prescient some of those films were he created now.
Oh, yeah,
It's like, oh
definitely.
my gosh. Well, that's cool. I know a lot of the chapters are doing like meetups like we're doing here over the next month. And did you see we started the wire service for the chapter heads too?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we'll get that going. That got derailed too for the next couple of months. But one of the cool things I know it's no secret that we've actually been contacted by Pittsburgh to hold a StokerCon there.
Yeah.
A
I
couple
did
of
hear
years.
that through the grapevine
Yeah,
once.
I'm sure you've heard it. That could be absolutely amazing. And actually, I had the week this all broke. We actually had a meeting with I forget the gentleman's name was coming out here from PA.
Oh.
So but he had everything got canceled. It was literally the week everything was getting canceled. Me and Brad were going to meet him. We'll do that at some point soon, and we're hoping it works out. I mean, that's just it's like the perfect place, and we have you all there, and
Yeah, we could definitely help rope everything in. That would be amazing.
yeah, totally. And I have good ties to PA. I have one of my best friends grew up in York.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
yeah, and then I have tons of friends from Pittsburgh and stuff too, and Philadelphia. So it's an amazing state filled with so much talent. I think it'd just be amazing to hold a StokerCon there. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
we're working on it. Well, it's been great talking to you. This is amazing. I just wanted to ask you two more questions. The first one is there anything you'd like to tell everybody about yourself at the moment?
I think right now I'd just say thank you to everyone being so great in our community right now. Like, feel like I'm seeing just a lot of kindness and a lot of good outreaches, and it's so nice to be part of that community when everything else going around is so scary in real life. We kind of have horror as our own comfort. So that's all I'd really want to say is just I hope everyone hangs in there and keep being nice to each other. No more drama. Just keep it all
Right?
good. Yeah. But it's really nice just to
Totally.
see all the creativity that's coming from, being at home too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. And my last question is, where can people find you on the web if they want like your website and your social media?
Yeah, so my website is just saratantlinger.com. I'm most active on Twitter, which is at sarahjane524. I'm on Facebook, but I don't do a whole lot with it anymore, just every now and then. And
Cool.
my Instagram is Inky Chaotix.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's amazing. Well, thank you so much for spending some time with us today. And I'll be sure to send the links as soon as it's uploaded and ready. And be well and stay safe over there. And
You
we'll
too.
talk to you really soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye.